Hey, and welcome to the intro video for any new food club members. We're going to show you around our farm, our practices and principles, how our animals live, and just be open and honest with you guys on what we're trying to achieve here in the Central Coast. We're not some major corporation, we're a local farming family just having a go. And if you've got any questions, you can give us a buzz, but yeah, we hope to meet you at one of the food clubs down the track. Okay, so this is our grass finished beef operation. There's around about 60 head of cattle. No, there's 60 head of cattle. I know how many there are. I don't know why I said roundabout. But yeah, so this is grass fed and grass finished beef. What grass finished beef means is that they are finished on grass. So it means they've finished their final days on grass instead of even some grass-fed beef operations where they finish it on grain. So these guys are finished on grass, which means a healthier meat, so higher omega-3s, CLA, vitamin A, vitamin E. It's a healthier beef product. Number one for the consumer's health, but also for the land's health as well. So what we're trying to do is use these guys as a positive tool to build topsoil and to heal ecosystems instead of destroy it. So industrial agriculture crams these guys in a feedlot and feeds them grain and treats them like an omnivore. They're not an omnivore, they're a herbivore. They're supposed to eat grasses, plants. So we match a natural system and we try to avoid twisting and morphing this animal to do what we as humans want to do. So we move them nearly every day, sometimes 4 times a day. And what that does is it allows the pasture that they've just eaten to have a chance to recover, and it also keeps them away from yesterday's toilet. And what that does is it allows us not to have to drench them, and no antibiotics and hormones and no updates of vaccines or anything like that. So it's allowing an animal to be an animal instead of putting a crutch on them by giving them injections. So it's a healthier practice. So you can see the paddock behind them, the darker green, that's where they're about to move this afternoon into a new paddock, and they won't be allowed back on this paddock for around about 100 days we're on at the moment. So I think if we're going to eat beef, firstly, we probably need to eat less for what Australia's average is. Secondly, we need to eat better quality beef that's healthier. And thirdly, eat beef from farmers that are using the animals to heal their ecosystem instead of destroy it. So hopefully you guys like what you see here. Another principle we use as well is these guys are low stress handled. So it's called low stress stock handling. And the idea is you have nice calm moves. We don't use cattle prods or whips or anything like that. We just work with the animal and their personalities. And it creates a calm animal, which creates a better quality meat as well. There you go, that's our operation. Okay, so the specs for our grass finished beef. The animals are 2 to 3 years old, as I said before, so they will have a more intense flavor. The best way to describe it is it's just like beef used to taste. We've just had that. It has a beefier flavor, not as bland as supermarket beef because the animal's older. So you'll notice the actual meat is a darker color purple instead of a light pink, but that's okay, don't worry about that. That's where the flavor is at. And you'll notice the fat almost has a yellow tinge to it, and that is an incredibly good quality as well. That is a representation of the beta carotene that they get from eating so much grass, and that's where all the health benefits are. So don't be scared of the fat. This is grass finished animal fats. This is good for you. What the government told us to eat in regards to eat margarine instead of butter and don't eat eat vegetable oils and don't eat animal fats was so incredibly wrong. So don't be scared of the fats. And our animals are notoriously a little bit fattier. The sausages will be a little bit fattier. Don't worry about that. Save it and cook roast vegetables in it after. It's good for you, I promise. Yeah, so that's it about the beef. How we deliver it to the Central Coast, one delivery out of each month will be chilled most of the time, and the other fortnight will be frozen because we are only processing once a month at the moment. 9 times out of 10 for the Sydney clubs, it will be frozen. An important part of buying meat off us is understanding that the whole refreeze thing is an absolute myth. I've told a lot of people this, but the CSIRO brought out an article called The Refreeze Myth. Actually Google that, it's a worthwhile read. So it basically says that the fact that you can't refreeze something once it's defrosted is a myth, and you absolutely can, as long as you defrost in your fridge under 5 degrees, which is everyone's fridge. So if you buy a kilo pack of beef mince off us and it's too much for one meal, let it defrost in the fridge, portion it up how you want, and freeze the rest. It is completely safe, don't worry. Alright, it's a family affair on Full Circle Farm. This is Rusty, our pet dog. This is our beautiful daughter, Amaya. Say hi, Amaya. Did you pick some flowers, did you?
Yeah.
They look lovely. Where from?
I got the purple ones in front of the trampolines, and I got these ones from all that area.
Oh, it's beautiful. You gonna give those to Mummy?
Yeah.
Oh, lovely. That's, if you saw him, that's our livestock guardian dog that patrols this area and protects our birds from foxes and other predators. They do an amazing job. Because of them, we are allowed to have our meat birds out completely in the open, which is amazing. They get to forage. So this is our meat bird operation. What a segue, hey? So these guys, omnivore, so they're eating their grain at the moment. I just fed them breakfast, but they actively forage as well. So they're eating grass, bugs, the same as the egg layers. Because of their diverse diet out on the pasture instead of just in a factory shed, living in their own poo, because of that diverse pasture, it creates a healthier meat bird, so higher omega-3s. So yeah, our meat birds are pretty expensive compared to a $10 Coles barbecue chook, but they're really two completely different products. So if you want healthy white meat, then this is where you come. So the principle with the meat birds is, look, it's simple infrastructure. They're old rectangle trampolines that I put tin over. That gives them shelter from the elements. And they are moved, I just moved them, but they are moved every single day. And they're basically migrating through our paddocks, and they fertilize our paddocks as they go, which in turn benefits the cattle because they bring on amazing quality grass. But so yeah, these are meat birds. These are the birds that are designed to be in a factory farm shed, but they get to live a pretty good life until their one bad day. So this is behind them where their fertilizer is doing amazing things, and once the fertilizer soaks in, that grass will come back, will be absolutely phenomenal. There's our layers, as I showed you before. But yeah, that's the meat birds, guys. They're happy birds. They are classics. They're running through the field when they're wanting some feed. They waddle along because they grow so big. Yeah, with the meat birds, you'll just notice a depth of flavour. It'll be a little bit more like chicken used to taste like. Okay, our meat birds, how they work. We are only doing whole birds at the moment, but eventually we'll be looking to do cut-ups, so you can buy like a packet of chicken breasts or a packet of wings or something like that. So they're a whole bird. We charge $28 per bird for a 1.8 kilo or plus. Okay, usually our birds are around about 2 to 2.2 kilos, so they are ginormous compared to a supermarket bird. So yes, you are paying a lot more than a supermarket, but you are getting a bird that is raised how it should be, a healthier bird, but also you're getting a bigger bird. So you will get a lot of meals out of it. Our customers find they can do, if they use it correctly, they can get a lot of meals out of it, even for a big family of 4 or 5. Yeah, so, and we also sell the smaller birds, the 1.8 kilos or under, which is $26 as well. So we usually will have both available. For the Central Coast clubs, 9 times out of 10, the birds are going to be fresh. So we process on the Monday, and then the clubs are on the Tuesday and Wednesday. So we've basically mapped our clubs around our meat bird processing. For Sydney clubs, unfortunately, the Sydney clubs at the moment are on Sundays, so it's a 7-day shelf life for the meat birds, so just probably wouldn't last that long. So we do freeze them. Once again, don't forget the refreeze myth. You can absolutely refreeze something if you've defrosted it in the fridge. Okay, so here's our pasture-raised egg operation for you all to see. These girls are out on grass all the time. The whole principle with pasture-raised over free range is that pasture-raised, the animals and the infrastructure all move onto a new spot regularly. So that creates a chook that gets access to fresh grass all the time, access to new bugs and worms and legumes and weeds and forbs, and they get to forage, which creates a healthier egg with more omega-3s and tastes better. It just tastes like, if you've ever tasted someone's backyard chook's eggs, they taste like that. When you get the eggs in the clubs, they are usually that day's eggs or yesterday's eggs. So you're going to notice that the white holds a bit more to the yolk. Yeah, and it'll just have a more of a depth of flavour. So they sleep inside the caravan, or they on their roosting perches. They lay their eggs in the caravan as well, in roll-away nest boxes. They're protected by a livestock guardian dog. These boys. And this is where they lay their eggs. They lay down on these roll-away nest boxes that rolls into a centre conveyor belt. And yeah, these are today's eggs. So these are going to a cafe tomorrow, but it'd be the same if we had food clubs the next day. These would be your eggs for the next day. So there you go. That's our egg operation for you all to see. Yeah. Woo! And lastly, our eggs. Our pasture-raised eggs, as I've explained to you before, are usually collected the day before or on the day of the food club, so they're incredibly fresh. So you'll notice that the white holds close to the yolk. If you're looking to poach your eggs, these guys are perfect for that because they're so fresh. You don't have to put any vinegar in the water, just stir your water around and whack them in, and they should poach pretty good. You'll notice with the yolk colors that the yolks change depending on the season. So we don't put any artificial chemical dyeing agents in our feed. Okay, all our feed mill don't do that. We only have natural crushed up marigold flowers, which assists a little bit with the yolk color, but the variance in the yolk color that you will notice is seasonal. So it depends what type of grasses are growing, if there's legumes, etc. So yeah, the yolks will change. There's varying sizes. We could charge extra for jumbo eggs, but we just include them in normal cartons of eggs. So you'll get some that are a bit smaller, some that are a bit bigger. Yeah, and you would just expect variance with all our food, I guess, because we're working with nature, and this is not a factory line. This is not a farm, a factory farm shed where everything's mechanical and treating the animal like a robot. The animals are allowed to express themselves on our farm. So with our meat birds, some run around a bit more than others, so some are a bit smaller and have a bit more energy than others, and some lay different shaped eggs, and that's okay. That's the beauty of it. And yeah, there you go, that's our eggs and everything else. Okay, so our farming principles, we are what you would consider regenerative farmers. So we are trying to regenerate the land that we're farming. Whereas industrial agriculture is generally mining the land and treating animals like machines. We are trying to ethically treat our animals right, and that means allowing a chicken to be a chicken and a cow to be a cow. And our grazing practices are aimed at building topsoil, sequestering carbon, and basically improving the ecosystem. We love wildlife. We love bird life. It's all incorporated, whereas industrial ag is a big open field and they try to get everything off it. We try to include everything in it. It's how an ecosystem works. Yeah, so that's basically it. Another important part is we are absolutely zero chemicals, zero pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, any other sides. We are very passionate about this. No, we don't have organic certification, but our certification comes from our customers and being open and transparent with you guys. We are passionately against chemicals. I think one of the most craziest things humans have ever done is think that it was a good idea to grow food in poison. And that's what industrial agriculture is doing, and that's what we are trying to provide an alternative against. And that's local families on the Central Coast in Sydney. We're trying to provide you guys with an alternative to that industrial agricultural food. So zero chemicals, nutrient-dense food that's allowed to express itself and have a good life before their one bad day. That's basically our principles, guys. Yeah, we don't really do much else. We just try to work with nature instead of against it. We're called Full Circle Farm because nature has no wastebasket. Nature is a cycle and everything is circular. So our cattle come and graze through the paddocks and our chickens follow along behind them. Just like in a natural system, mass herds of herbivores would graze an area and thousands of birds would follow behind them. And that has an amazing benefit to the landscape. So yeah, that's us. That's our principles. Okay, how the food clubs actually work. It's all pretty easy, really. You register your mobile number for a club that suits you, and you'll receive that reminder on the day of the club or in the morning of the club. It'll have the time, the address, what produce is available, and yeah, that's basically it. You rock up with your card of cash, grab what you want, and you're done. So we will bring whatever produce we have available. Most of the time we're going to have plenty of meat birds, beef, eggs, veg boxes, and other seasonal veg like sweet potato and avocados, and honey soon. Oh yeah, and on that, we produce the meat birds, the beef, and the eggs, but we do partner with Little Feet Gourmet, who produce the veg boxes, and Tucker Box Flora, who produce the avocados, and soon Horseshoe Valley Farm, who are doing honey, which is awesome. They're just over the hill from us too. And also seasonal stuff from our great friends, Grey Springs Farm. So yeah, and we know and trust all these farmers and their practices. So you can choose whatever you want on the day. We're gonna have a lot of stuff usually. Sometimes we're gonna be sold out of ribs or brisket. Well, actually a lot of times we'll sell out of ribs and brisket. Very popular cuts at the moment. But look, we'll do what we can. We'll bring whatever we have. So if your club's say 5 to 5:30, try to rock up in between 5 and 5:15 so we can get your order done, because usually I've got to rush off to another club at 5:30 on the dot. It's a bring your own bag arrangement. And if you forget your bag, just whack it in your car like some people do, which is cool. If I was a customer, I'd probably be forgetting my bag every fortnight and doing that, so it's okay. Yeah, and just come and be a part of a really cool community that's an exciting new food system. And yeah, it's important for us as farmers to come and say hello to you guys and be connected to the families that we're producing food for. That's it. The food clubs are really easy. There's no ordering. Yes, there is. There is ordering. The only thing you have to pre-order is the seasonal veg boxes from Little Feet Gourmet. So if you give me 2 days notice before your club, if your club's a Tuesday, just text me on the Sunday and say, can I order a veg box, please? That's the only thing you need to order, and that's a seasonal veg box, so it'll have what's growing in the season, chemical free and everything. So everything else you can just rock up and grab, but the veg box you need to pre-order. You can do it by text or email. Cool. Another thing I forgot to mention as well, guys, unfortunately we can't process on our farm and legally sell the meat. So our meat birds we send to an abattoir once a fortnight. Well, we take them down ourselves, and same with the cattle. We take our cattle down to an abattoir down in Sydney as well. So they're licensed premises, and then they go back to our licensed butcher who does all the cut-ups, and there we go. That's how we do it. I just thought we'd let you guys know. We know the practices of the abattoirs, and we know they're as humane as possible. What you got?
Mulberry.
Mulberries. Oh, you beat the birds.